course, MavMitchell is going to finish off this week's replay review. MavMitchell has always been very kind, donating his replays to us here, Jeffrey. But BIKERUSHOWNZ is currently streaming still into the Rivals, going for the #1 slot. He made it, I think, into, I think he was top 3 GDI last season. He was top 10 at one point. I don't actually know what his final rankings were in the previous season, but he's up there. Like, he's up there. This guy is a pro Command & Conquer icon and legend, if you've never heard of BIKERUSHOWNZ. But this does look a lot like his typical GDI deck.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty much the deck he's been running, and that's the deck that got him all those medals in the last season, which, if I remember correctly, I think he finished around 4,500 for GDI, maybe a bit higher than that. So he does play it very well. Like that MLRS, like that's the one part of that deck that he does extremely well. And when he transitions into the Sandstorm too, those are the two things that work really well for him in this deck. But the rest of it is pretty much just his micro decisions with like the Pit Bulls, the War Dogs, and the Shocks and the Predators. So pretty standard deck list, and it's what he's been running, and he does a good job with it.
Sandstorms have definitely come something of an icon here for BIKERUSHOWNZ, despite his name. There's no bikes in this deck. But Mav, on the flip side, this is the second season that I'm aware of that he is running with the Tick Tanks. I don't know if we'll see one, but this is a 3-pad map here on Rush In. Now, if we had a Jade Missile, right, we have Tiberium fields right next to pads on this one. I think this is the beach map, I believe. So that could have actually been good, but it will be Oksana. I don't know if an Oksana Tick Tank is something we'll see, but it's certainly an option. So, all right, Mav, game 1 of 2 to finish us off here this week. Let's take a quick look.
Establishing battlefield control.
And BIKERUSH is actually part of Ascendance, which is Alicia Destiny's clan, or alliance.
That's right.
Gotta say alliance, right? And she's actually playing for NA Pride this weekend, as we got the Rivals reveal party tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Now, there's going to be some YouTubers and all that fighting about as well, but, I mean, I'm there for the competitive myself, but, yeah. Well, I'm not there. I'll be watching.
Same here.
Indeed, but
yeah.
This is what Bike does. Starts off with these dogs. Invariably, I think Mav actually knew that, so which is why we went into the double missiles. But invariably from there, it's into Shocks, and Mav already has now his level 11 Flames ready to roll.
Yeah, and that was a good call by Mav, right? Like he transitioned quickly into the Flame Troopers because he knew that's exactly what was going to happen next. And even though those War Dogs are coming out, it doesn't matter. The lasers are still sitting on the field, so he's going to be able to deal with them, no problem.
We had an Oksana buff on those first Flamers. It's a bit of a mismatch of everything here, but Bike's not going to really get much into this mid pad. This is actually a really nice catch from him up there into the top, finding those lone lasers. But all right, some Venoms. That's going to hold that point for sure.
Yeah, Venom's a great answer here. Mav so far is doing a great job pulling out the right counters, but he loses the first missile here. So they're both not running tech decks though, so that's actually just fine. They can still contest the third missile.
It's good for BIKERUSH though, because now even if he does lose the next missile, he'll have a lot of time for the economy to kick in, and that's when we should see some Sandstorms.
Right, exactly.
The Pitbulls are an interesting double Pitbull that didn't really get much done. Like, I understand that the Pitbulls are here for the air. We'll actually get that Banshee and should start harassing at least that Venom. But, I mean, BIKERUSH seems to be actually getting the better of the trades with the counters here.
Yeah, I mean, Mav sort of took care of the tempo in the beginning, but yeah, right now, BIKERUSH is doing a little bit better of a job with counters. And he's actually microing that Pitbull pretty decently because the Banshee has to stop to take a shot, whereas the Pitbull can just keep shooting while it moves.
Ooh, Tick Tank.
And the Sandstorm comes out. What a Tick Tank from Mav. So who's going to win, the Sandstorm or the Tick Tank?
All right, he's
and
desperately trying to make
it.
Yeah, he's desperately trying to get into the mid because of that Sandstorm.
Right, right. Good block there, too.
Okay, I don't know who wins, a Sandstorm or a Tick Tank, but I have a suspicion it's a Tick Tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's got, what, 50% damage reduction, right? So is the Sandstorm really going to do enough damage to take it out? I guess we're about to find out.
Dogs in the top left are not going to last. We lose out Mav's top right there, so everything's going to be yellow here for now. More dogs to be coming through, but we do get at least a little bit of a delay there in the mid. That Pitbull into the top right has to make its way to the top left, but we got those Flamers trying to get there. Bike is blocking, still blocking. Doing very good.
You notice there, he was so focused on that other pad, though, that he forgot to micro that Pitbull onto the middle pad, and that is why he loses this missile here.
2 tick tanks have now made this virtually inaccessible because BIKERUSH has no air.
Not at all. Yeah, so Mav's got his wall set up. Oh, but he's moving his tick tanks over to deal with the war dogs.
I mean, you can't. They are still tanks. I think a lot of people forget this. Tick tanks are still tanks. They still hit hard. But
they do, and I think they even have radar, actually, just like a Scorpion.
That I'm going to have to rely on Mav in chat to tell me about. But finally an MLRS. That feels very late at this point. Just the delusion of Banshees has kind of kept Bike from making them. But this is 3 red pads.
Oh, man, those tick tanks did some real work. Like on that middle pad, they did such a great job of just holding place. And it set him up to win that 3rd missile.
So the first missile went over to Bike very, very nicely. The second one was a bit of a slog, and then from there, it's almost like he kind of forgot how to endgame. They do have Raider.
I feel like this is one of the advantages with tick tanks is you don't expect them ever, right? So it's one of those units that you just don't see very often. So when you do see one, you almost kind of hesitate because you're like, wait a minute, tick tank. What's the proper counter to that? And you have to sort of think about it. Whereas, like, if it was a Scorpion, you know exactly what you need to do there. But even then, like you mentioned, the Sandstorm against the Tick Tank, and the Tick Tank, it held its own. Like, at 80 Tiberium versus, a Sandstorm's 130? And even though Sandstorm's supposed to be good against vehicles, it didn't seem to do enough damage. So,
yeah,
interesting.
It's also a bit of a weakness of the deck here from BIKERUSH. Like, usually when you see tick tanks, you'll go air or you'll go rockets, and he didn't have either. Right. It was MLRS,
exactly.
which could have worked out. But so a lot of people again think like you see the tick tank. I almost want to restart this replay just to keep it going. But you have the tick tank, and you're like, okay, it's burrowed. I can just shoot it for free with an MLRS. Well, no, a competent player will unburrow it and move it forward the 1 slot to shoot you again. And then you have to pack up, and you got to move, and then you keep doing this dance.
Well, exactly. And I think that's why Mav is running Oksana. I was talking to him earlier, and he said that what Oksana does is it actually allows the tick tank to move and burrow a lot faster. So that's kind of interesting. I never thought about running Oksana with tick tanks before. Well, actually, just running tick tanks in general.
It burrows incredibly quick.
Oksana with it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Hmm.
MavMitchell and tick tanks, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good match. Good match.